What's going on? What's going on? How's everybody doing, man? Let me get this Instagram started. What's going on, everybody on Instagram? How y'all feel, man? You tuned into another Thursday Night Live with your boy Clarence Brown. For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Clarence Brown. I'm a relationship coach, certified relationship coach. I'm an author, a speaker, and the host of the Male Translations podcast. And right now, you tuned in to the Thursday Night Live, man. Right now, we're going to be going in on a great topic this evening, man. We're going to have a great discussion. I have an awesome guest, man, one of my guys. He is also a certified relationship coach. He's also an author. He's also a podcaster, influencer as well. And he's going to be joining me tonight, man, to join along in this conversation, man. We're going to get it popping tonight. So everybody, I need y'all to tune in tonight because it's going down. I know, ladies, y'all going to probably have some fits tonight. So I'm going to ask that y'all go ahead and drop those questions, whatever you have as far as questions, drop those inside the comment box because we'll be taking those comments later on throughout the broadcast. But tonight, man, we're going to be talking about a great topic. Tonight, we're going to talk about why women refuse to follow a man's lead. All right. Why women refuse to follow a man's lead. We're going to chop that up tonight because for me, I feel like, I think a lot of ladies are really talking good as if, hey, listen, you know what? When I find that right guy, when I find a good guy, all these things will change. I'm going to turn and morph into this, feminine, submissive, cooperative woman once the right guy crosses my path. So, I feel like I got to challenge that tonight. And I also brought a guest, like I said, my guy, Terry Duran, certified relationship coach, author, podcaster, influencer as well. And we're going to chop that up tonight and really get into that. So I need y'all to come on in. We're going to have a discussion right now. We're going to church right now. So I'm going to bring my guy, Terry Duran, in, and we're going to really, really get into it. Let me bring him right on in, guys. I ain't going to hold you. Terry, what's happening, bro? How you feeling, man?
What's going on, bro? Appreciate you having me on, man.
Most definitely. So let me get this volume up for everybody that's on Instagram. For those of y'all that follow Terry Duran, man, he has amazing content when it comes to social media and just the stuff that he talks about, things that he posts. A lot of times it may rub some people the wrong way, but I think it really provokes a lot of thought and get the conversation started, which is really what we need to have these conversations in order to bridge that gap of communication and understanding when it comes to relationships. So Terry, man, how you feeling tonight, man?
Oh man, I can't complain, bro. I'm good. Just enjoy my vaporizer, so I'm on cloud 9, feeling lucky.
That's a fact. That's a fact. So, man, listen, it's been a minute. For everybody that's on Instagram right now, I need y'all to throw Terry some claps right now, some cuffs, some broken cuffs or something like that, man. For real, some emojis. My boy just got out of Instagram jail. They've been holding him down, trying to keep a black man down, not letting him post, not letting him reach his audience and be able to speak truth to power when it comes to relationships from a male perspective. So, man, we got to give you a welcome home round of applause, man, for being able to make it on out, man. You know what I mean? You stayed down, you didn't snitch, you didn't turn like 6'9" on it. You dig what I'm
Yeah, man,
saying?
they be hating on your boy. I don't know what it is, man. They don't really give you no direction on what happened or what you did or whatever. You don't know until you try to go live and you get the little alert saying you blocked.
Bro, every day the guidelines switching, bro. I swear in the last 2 months or something, I had been getting kicked out of my Instagram. I had to, remake passwords and usernames like multiple times. I'm thinking to myself, bro, what's going on, man? These algorithms and everything. Like, it would be all good just a week ago. What Too Short and Jay-Z cut?
Man, be
Man,
careful
listen,
as people trying to hack your accounts too.
that's a fact.
That you get all kind of emails. You want to get verified. That's in all kind of stuff to try to
Right,
get you to
right.
click and give them access to your account. So anybody that got followers, be on the lookout for that.
All right. So everybody that follows Terry, man, y'all know his voice, man. It's my guy right here, man. We're not gonna hold y'all too long. Gonna get right into it because I know that's what y'all want to get into the conversation of why women refuse to follow a man's lead. So Terry, man, you know what I mean. People, we want to hear what you got to say, bro. Want to see how you feel about it, and we're gonna chop it up. So my first question, man, because I see women, they, in my opinion, They capping. Deja Simone, I see y'all on Instagram. I feel like I hear a lot of women that make the statement of, hey, what they would be when they find the right guy, when they find a leader, when a guy steps up to the plate and does what he's supposed to do. You know, you name it. You get all of these statements that say, hey, I'm one way now with a man, and yeah, because of the things I've been through, this is why I'm the way I am. But you know, trust and believe, when I find the right guy, like all of that changes, all of that turns around, and now, you know, I'm going to become this more submissive, more cooperative, more, you know, able to follow a man's lead type of lady. So my question, bro, is this: what makes a woman, in your eyes, respect a man, or even give him some level of autonomy over her situation, over her life? In your opinion, what makes that woman say, okay, I can respect him?
Man, I really think that's what the woman saw growing up.
Mm-hmm.
The women that I know that have healthy relationships with men and you know, are willing to be submissive or let a man lead, they usually had grandparents or saw somebody in their life that was in a healthy relationship for a long period of time.
Right.
And so there's more trust there. Uh, they don't have the perspective of men that a lot of women get from single mothers or women that they did, or those that didn't see a long term healthy marriage. So I think that's the major component. And I also think a woman's dating history has a lot to do with it.
Mm.
From what I see and just interacting with all the women, you know, family members, cousins, etc. Women make horrible decisions on who they date and who they give their time and attention to,
Mm-hmm.
and so a lot of their perspective on men is shaped off the worst dudes. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they choose the worst dudes because if you notice, like anytime you have a discussion with women, um, you could bring up any subject and the women that want to push back, they're going to bring up the insecure dude, the bum dude, the broke dude, the abusive dude. They're always going to choose a dude from one of these horrible categories that we all in agreement with, or messed up categories. They never talk about the dude that got his life together. They never talk
Mm-hmm.
about the dude that tries to communicate this. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
Right.
that just shows you that their perspective always jumps to the negative when it comes to men. And I think that's largely to do with their upbringing and they dating history.
Most definitely. And to me, to be completely honest, you know, there are very few things that will make a man, I mean, excuse me, make a woman like truly respect a man and follow his lead. Because, you know, to be on topic again, it's you know, one thing to get respect from a woman here and there, like certain things she can respect, you know, maybe how you take care of yourself, how you carry yourself, how you may take care of your children or your family, or just hold down situations and just, you know, be determined to get through certain things, right? And all of those things can be respected in the moment. And but at the same time, overall, when it comes to what would make a woman say, okay, well, I will defer to you, I will kind of allow you to be the one that has the final say so. And it's not to say that I don't have a voice, but ultimately, if you say, hey, at the end of the day, this is what we're gonna do, then you know she's gonna be willing to take on that position of following it and playing her role. I think that there's few things. To me, what first comes to mind is, of course, money, right? I mean, a lot of women would say, hey, I don't respect a man with money. It don't matter how much money he has. But money talks and BS walks. We know that from back in the day. So all I'm saying is, overall, you know, there are women that will respect a man more solely because they know he has resources and an ability to create a lifestyle she's not able to create herself. And then we all
True.
know the other one it's the it's the stroke game, and you know what I mean. We all adults here. I'm not trying to say, you know, I'm not trying to put it in a way where it may be distasteful, but I mean, to be completely honest, come on now, you know,
Yeah,
there's some.
those
We talk about them
those
bum
those are
guys,
two
man.
those are
Them
two
bum guys.
superficial
That's
things.
how they make it happen.
I mean, what you just mentioned are two things that women largely use to evaluate a man. They
Right.
wallet and they sex game. And both of those things are horrible things to use. Like they can be
Mm-hmm.
preferences and you can have, you know, things that you like or dislike. It should be a factor, but for a lot of women, we see the, you know, secure the bag type mentality that these women have out here.
Mm-hmm.
They'll put up with a whole lot of stuff that they claim they wouldn't put up with, if a dude's buying them designer and taking them on trips and cash
Right.
apping them money out the blue, etc. So a lot of the stuff that we do see is a lot of cap. You know what I mean? In
Right.
regards to what they'll do for a guy that either got them, hooked on that pipe, or got the money to spend. But the problem though comes, with the good guys, where the woman knows you're not gonna hit her. She knows
Hmm.
you're not gonna handle her in any kind of way. You know what I mean? Like the guys that actually have respect and chivalry, a lot of times you are at a disadvantage, because if a woman disagrees with you or wants to upset you, there really ain't nothing you can do about it.
Right.
And we see that we live in a generation where women can be intentionally petty, intentionally disrespectful, and then play the victim if there's any retaliation or the behaviors reciprocated.
Right.
So in a lot of ways, men are at a disadvantage when it comes to that. You just have to do a thorough vetting process before you get in a committed relationship with a woman, if possible. Um, Sometimes that situation doesn't present itself till y'all married or y'all got kids already. But unfortunately, I'll say that the only the lack of submission, I really only see that among Black people or African Americans, and so
Hmm.
to me, that's an indication that that's a direct result of the white supremacy and slavery. I actually did a YouTube video earlier this week where I talked
Right.
about the things that hinder Black love, and so that's one of those things. Um, Slavery took away the man's dominant position in the Black family. It changed the way that Black women viewed Black men. Like
Hmm.
white women have always been able to look at white men as security providers, etc. They make the most money, they got the most resources, etc.
Right.
Right? But Black men, that was stripped from them. The way that they would buck break slaves, that took away the protection aspect, and it put Black women overall in a consciousness to where they're they don't have as much respect for Black men because you can't protect us from the white man. And
Mm.
so those are the type of repercussions it has on our interactions. It's a lack of respect. It's I can disrespect you too. And only the woke women will get past that and realize how destructive that is.
Most definitely. So, hey, Instagram guys, if you guys want to see both myself and Terry Duran, you can click over on YouTube on the Male Translations page, Male Translations on YouTube. Make sure you guys don't forget to subscribe, and you'll be able to see us both live and in person right now. So, I got a couple comments say all the bum guys have is that stroke game. Hey, listen, you got to use your resources, man. God ain't all give us the same toolbox. Let me see. Lady for the win says money isn't a factor. Being a provider is. That may be somewhat true, but
Money's
regardless,
always a factor.
exactly to me, however you slice it, providing with what resources. And in America, we use the U.S. dollar. So to me, you know what I'm
Well, you
saying?
know what? I think that word provider gets thrown around a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and people kind of change the definition to fit whatever they say that a man's supposed to do for them. A lot of women use that word provider to mean provide me with the luxury lifestyle that I really can't provide myself.
Mm-hmm.
I think most men look at the word provide means I'm providing the basic necessities: shelter, protection, food, etc.
Right.
Anything else on top of that is optional and a luxury. A woman that can look at men from that perspective has a much better chance of having a healthy relationship and not creating chaos or dysfunction over luxury items, things that are
Mm-hmm.
not necessities. A lot of women trip off of stuff like that just because you ain't buying me a bag, or you ain't giving me something I can stunt with on
I know.
Instagram.
I saw that post you put up with a chick and a dude from like the UK or something. Yeah.
I mean, that stuff's real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, for
so.
sure.
So
So
you
here's
gotta
the
figure
thing,
it
man.
out when you dating.
Right. I want to ask, man. Do you think though? Because in my opinion, think that we get over labeled, right? And I'm not. And here's the thing. I say that knowing as my ears tingle, I can hear women that will make the argument. Y'all do the same thing. Y'all do the same thing. And even in my relationship, in my marriage, sometimes it's hard to get around the comparison when you're trying to address something, right? So, especially here, I want to say before we get into this question, yes, men can label women. All right, let me just throw that. You know what I mean? I should put that on the ticker going across the bottom, right? Men do it as well, right? So when we have the conversation about men, we'll talk about that and really kind of dive into that to expose some of the things that we as men have tendencies and trends and patterns to do. But right now, when addressing this question of why women refuse to follow a man's lead, I gotta ask you because I feel like we get overgeneralized in this aspect, and I want to ask: do you think women overgeneralize men as quote unquote unable to lead, or do you think that's accurate? It's a two-part question. That's number one. Do you think women overgeneralize us as men as unable to lead, or is that accurate? And then the second part of the question is: do you think it's a cop out because they really don't want to, follow a man at all anyway?
Yeah, as far as the beginning of the question, I think that's another one of those cliches that gets
Mm-hmm.
defined by the user. And so when you're talking about following a man's lead or whatnot, from what I've seen, a lot of women have problems with men and the decisions that they make because it's not what they would do in a given situation.
Right.
So essentially, what a lot of women do is they penalize men for not thinking and making decisions like women do. So to me, that in itself shows you that they not trying to lead. They looking for you ain't doing it my way, so you wrong. You
Right.
didn't do what I would have did, so it's a problem.
Hmm.
And that type of logic in itself is problematic because anytime you working with another person to maintain a comfort level, they not gonna do everything that you do. Like
Right.
think about how illogical it is to complain about a man not thinking and acting like a woman, right? Like the men that think and act like women are gay men, right? So
Facts.
these women will be with a straight man and then criticize all his or second guess everything he does because it's not what she would have did or it's not how she felt. Like and to me that's really problematic because men are supposed to balance out the emotional decision making and all that women bring to the table. And if you would a quality dude, he's going to at least care about your opinion or be in putting forth effort to try to make sure you happy and you good after the necessities are taking place. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like
Right.
so a lot of women struggle with that. They can't be told no. They can't have a man that they I don't know why they have such a combative view towards men like that, but it makes it virtually impossible to have a healthy relationship with them.
Right. And I ain't gonna lie, I've heard women say, that they feel like sometimes men are trying to take their power. Anytime when you mention women being masculine or women kind of being in a dominant role in relationships and not only being proud of it, but just feeling like that's the way to go about being in a relationship and operating. And I think that sometimes that mindset comes from the fact that women just feel like, hey, well, you know what, if I give you that position of deferring to you, then now I'm stripped of my power, right? You hear that all the time, like, oh, well, you know what, like, we should be able to do this. We should, I'm not going to just be a slave. You hear terms like this that make it seem as if by
Playing the
her
victim.
deferring to her man in any way. And so you see how contradictory it is when women do make, out of one side of their mouth say, hey, listen, I'm giving him power and I don't have any anymore. And at the other side of their mouth saying, hey, listen, I'm gonna do all of these things and submit to my king and all of these things.
Yeah, I mean, it does contradict what men actually experience dating women. And it's really a large reason a lot of guys ain't really that keen on getting married.
Mm,
They look at dating as a temporary thing because most women don't really have the mindset to actually build a long term relationship. I mean, in the topics that we bring up, every topic women suggest leaving the dude or find some way to make the dude that we're talking about not dateable or they would have dumped him, etc. And so these are the women that do petty stuff like block a dude and delete his number over something silly, and it could be something that he's trying to help her improve. Um,
right.
so so fellas, you just have to be able to figure out and weed through the women to figure out which ones have that mindset and which ones don't. I think guys that can demonstrate that they live in a stable lifestyle that a woman can see herself being a part of. I think over time he'll get a level of respect, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it'll ever get to the point where she's gonna allow him to overrule her decision making.
Right. Dictate,
Especially,
anything.
especially once they start getting they get their own money. You know what I'm saying? Like I've seen several instances where a woman will just go come back with a car because she could. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like we talked about it and you said we need to wait till next year, but F that. I got
Right.
the bat, and it'll be
And
like,
they come back like Beanie Siegel, like, and what? Look, listen, you know what? They ready
yeah.
to knife something down.
I mean, but imagine how much that tears up the infrastructure of your marriage or your relationship with your man to show him that you just don't care about his opinion that much. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
but these are the mentalities that you see exhibited in women that are single. They taking
Right.
trips with their female friends. They buying luxury cars and buying bags, and they usually
Now you think you
single.
about to come in there and have a say so over how they move and how they operate, regardless of what you have and who you are, which is why I pose this question: why women refuse to follow a man's lead? Because I think the narrative women will have just to throw off this question or even a conversation is to just go and gloss the title of unworthy to be followed. You're not a leader. Men aren't leaders. Men gonna lead you down the road to destruction. All of these things that make it seem as if like if and like I said, it's out of one side you hear this, now the other side I'm hearing like, but I know some good men though. I know some good men, like my dad is a good man, or I got some cousins that I know take care of their family. They really about their kids. They in their kids' life, great fathers, this, that, and the third. So there are clear examples in women's eyes and in their lives of men who are great men, but at the same time will still act as if there aren't any great men to submit to. And I'm like, well, okay, so if you find somebody like those men that you feel represent that of a great man, then what would you do? And that's where, like I say, it sounds like a whole bunch of cap when it sounds like, and out of one side of your mouth, you saying all of which you're going to develop into and become, and then the other side is like, but at the
That's
same
just
time, I ain't
marketing.
gonna let no man tell me. You know what I mean?
That it's marketing. That's what they say to get a guy to buy in. Yeah, if I find the right one, I'll be the perfect wife. I'll do everything. Like you guys know better than that because no woman's really looking at themselves at their faults. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like just look at the Kevin Samuels videos. How many women think they tens? You know what I'm saying? Like they really be thinking that they perfect. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, and there ain't nothing you can really do about that because if you say that you really just average, you like all the other women. Now you a hater. Now
Right.
you tearing women down.
Right.
Well, damn, if you're on some unrealistic pedestal, to somebody telling you where you really supposed to be is really tearing you down, or is that them trying to help you get realigned to reality?
Right.
But that's a
Right.
problem
An
for a lot of
example, like
people.
when I coach, because I coach basketball as well. Listen, I'm the kids love me because they come to me and ask, okay, well, how do you assess me? Why? Because when they think they got, I'm like, bro, you trash. Like, you know what I mean? I know you 15, I know you 16, but when I was your age, I was 3 times as good as you, and you're not what you claim to be. And
This
you know what I
ain't
mean? And I
2K.
show them game film and things like that. Now, to me, I think that the guy, as men, we start to assess where we are, and we want to know so that we can be better at how we need to maneuver whatever obstacles we have in front of us, right? So, like you said, if a woman may say that she's a 10, then in her mind she doesn't have to do much in order to garner a man's attention or affection. But as a man, we know, like, listen, I know I got a big forehead. I know I got, what I mean, some features that I need to work with and work around and maneuver that. But hey, you know what? Because I accepted it early on, that allowed me to say, okay, well, this is my ceiling. You know what I'm saying? So I need to know how I need to
Yeah.
manage myself in this space, right? But I think a lot of times women feel like, hey, well, listen, I'm out of this world. There is no space for me to be confined to. Don't put me in a box. And therefore, then when it comes to somebody saying, hey, well, this is how I see it, then it becomes that problem you say, like when we watch the Kevin Samuels video.
Yeah, I mean that's a result of pandering too. You know, they've
Mm-hmm.
been told you perfect, you're a queen, you beautiful, men love your stretch marks, like, and that don't align with reality. You know what I mean? Like, so
Mm-hmm.
anytime these
I
topics
ain't gonna
come
lie. Now,
up,
stretch mark or two, I don't have no problem with. It depends, it's in ratio.
true, that is fine, but it's On a big booty, that's where guys like stretch marks. They don't
Right.
like stretch marks on your arms because you just grossly obese. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, but these type of messages you're all beautiful. Never let no one tell you you're not attractive. And it's like, well, everybody ain't attractive. If
Right.
that was, you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody ain't rich. Everybody's not attractive. And you got to come to that realization sooner or later.
Right.
Guys, like you were mentioning, like on a basketball team, they're a lot more realistic when what they think don't align with reality. The dude
Hmm.
that think he got the coldest handles, they get ripped at half court 3 times in a row, quickly realizes your handle is not like Kyrie, bro. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like he gets the reality check. Whether that's getting embarrassed, whether that's getting humiliated, or whatever the case might be. I don't think women really get that because any dating
But see, hold
situation
on,
that
bro.
go ahead.
Just to cut you off, I think that sometimes you have women that will be that person that gets stripped 3 times and say, "Coach, man, it's the ball, man. Son, the ball just slippery, man." You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm
That's what I
like,
was just about to
"Cuz
say.
both
That's
teams are
what I was
playing
about to
with this
say.
same ball. Why
Right, I
aren't
was
the
about to
other
say
players losing the ball?"
there's always a way to flip it and blame it on the man. Oh, he just wasn't the one. Oh, he didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like it's there's always a way for women to it's not me, it's them type of vibe. And there are always gonna be other girl. It's not you. Her friends are gonna tell her to make her feel better and all that. And it doesn't help. It doesn't actually fix the problem. It doesn't explain
Mhm.
why he fell out of how the dude that loved you and wanted to marry you last year don't even want to be in a relationship with you no more. They never want to answer the questions of
Mhm.
what changed his feelings. What made him no longer view you as wife material. They don't want to talk about that.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like so until they're willing to have the hard conversations and face some hard truths, a lot of women are not going to be in the mental space to have a healthy relationship, unfortunately.
Right. And Instagram, YouTube, while I'm asking Terry these questions, I'm also asking you guys as well. So I want y'all to not only hit that like button, but I also would want to hear your perspectives because we got a few comments. We got some from Gemini Magic talking about the bum dudes earlier with, all they depending on is they stroke game. They like, they like Zion right now in the NBA. Always everything going left, even one sided, no ambidextrous, just straight one strength. And also, what was it? Lady for the Win says money's not a factor. Being a provider is. I also seen some comments earlier as well. But I want y'all, especially the ladies, I would like to definitely hear how y'all feel about when it comes to following a man's lead. Is it something that you feel like most men aren't worthy of? Is it something that you feel like, hey, guys, have a lot of nerve to feel like that a woman should follow them for whatever reason? But we definitely, as men, would like to hear your opinion because while we're speaking, I know a lot of women may feel like, hey, well, no, that's not true, or this is so far from reality. Well, it would be great to have a conversation because these are the things that's going to actually bridge that gap of understanding where people may feel like, well, men might feel like, nah, I see it like this, and women feel like, well, it's more to it than that. So what I had just asked Terry is, do women overgeneralize men as unable to lead, which I do personally believe that they do. I feel like that oftentimes is a way to deflect from looking within oneself to really see what errors may have contributed to not having success in certain relationships. But again, where when I gave the basketball analogy, a kid might think he got it. Like you said, he gets stripped 3 times at half court. Some might say, man, I need to get better. And you'll have others say, man, the ball just slippery, man. It's just because it had sweat on it. Now I'm good. It's just the only reason why he. And it's like, no, it's because he actually your handles aren't that great like you think they are. You need to put in more work. You need to go back to the drawing board, right? So here's the thing, right? If a woman had what she would consider a great man, okay, we all heard the cliche, like we said earlier. A lot of women make the statement, "If I find the right guy," or they even say this, "I'll do these quote unquote things for my husband." When you
You
see like certain statements or certain posts, you look in the comments or you look in the mentions, and a lot of women say, well, you know what, I would only do such and such for my husband. Like, if he just my boyfriend, don't even expect me, don't even ask me. But yet, if you're my husband, then you'll have the right. So I'm asking, if a woman had a great man, would she be more willing to follow his lead, right? Or or will she never be able to follow his lead no matter what? will she see that she can't defer to him no matter what, regardless of him being that great man or not?
See, the problem is the phrase "great man." I think
Mm-hmm.
a lot of women struggle with evaluating men. So the way that they come to the conclusion that a guy's a great man is most likely off of what he gives her or what he allows her to get away with. You know what I mean, or allows her to do. So that's not necessarily the man that's better for her long term. That's going to be a better father, a better husband, etc. So a lot of women, that for the guys that they feel is a great man, the guys that's spoiling them and taking them shopping, yes, they will listen to him because they know that arguing with him or breaking up with him would prevent them from getting what they ultimately are really
Enjoy, yeah,
excited about. You know, the perks, the luxury,
right.
the not having to pay for things themselves. But also, one of the things I wanted to talk about that I don't think a lot of women put a lot of thought to, the conversation of a man paying 100% of the bills always comes up, right? But what they don't really talk about is how much control a person that pays 100% of your bills has over your life. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like they don't talk about the abusive men that use money to gain control over a woman, that convince a woman to quit her job and become dependent on him. Like so they fantasize about a situation that is really gonna strip them of power. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like these same independent women that talk all this stuff about what they should be able to do and all this, but they fiending and praying for a situation that strips them of they power because it comes with getting money, you know, at a man's expense. So
Right.
I don't think those women, like in general, are equipped to lead a man because they're from what I see, their core reaction is to find the way the man was wrong, find something that the man did that contradicts what he's trying to tell you, you know what I'm saying, or find some type of justification for why they should be able to think or do what they. I said what I said, you know what I'm saying. That's
Right.
more than
Right.
most likely what the response you're gonna get out of this generation of women.
And here's the thing, man, that's so true. And I think the reason why I stated the question like I did, where I just said, quote unquote, a good man, is because it's subjective to so many women, right? You might have a woman say a good man is a man who takes care of this, and he's a God fearing man, or he's this type of guy with reference to character. And then another a woman may base him being a good man being, like you said, a man who's willing to provide, and to the extent where she doesn't have to pay for anything, and yet he's willing. He's just open to, hey, whatever you need, which is, to
Real
greatly
gullible
to
if
her
you
benefit. But
a
as
lot
you
of
said
dudes.
too, go ahead.
I was gonna say that could put a lot of dudes in a bad position. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
like in Texas where I live, like you could do that. You could be the genuine hopeless romantic man. I'm feeling this chick. I'm gonna make sure her life is better. But you
right.
could get hit. You could do that for a year or two, and now you common law married, where y'all
Mm,
break up. You literally got to go through a divorce. So that could come back to really be painful for
right.
I
That
saw
was
that
in
happen to
wasn't that in a UGK song? Ain't that a
I don't remember it, but I know
yeah,
that when
Pimp
I was in
C,
the
Pimp C, he
military,
said, hey, yeah, when y'all common law married.
common law marriage is real, man. In some places, it could be if y'all live together for 6 months. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like it could be something like that where you move in an apartment, y'all both get a bill. Next thing you know, you legally married. So this is why it's important to vet the person that you're trying to marry or have children with. And pages like ours, like I think that's the ultimate tool because you can screenshot a discussion from my page, shoot it to your girl, your guy, and see what they actually have to say about it.
Right.
Like if they respond like one of these chicks that be in my comments that argue and disagree with everything, then you're the damn fool if you commit to that woman. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, or you know what to expect. So social media, depending on how you use it, and if you use it as a tool, it can work wonders for helping you vet the people that you dating.
Most definitely. And I'm seeing we got some comments coming through on YouTube. Like I said, Instagram, if y'all want to see both myself and Terry Duran, you can click
I see
over
we got
to to my YouTube and what is that? Male translations on YouTube. Make sure you guys don't forget to subscribe. Grow the audience, grow the page, so we can grow these discussions. And again, tonight's topic: why women refuse to follow a man's lead? Right. So we got some comments come through, and we gonna see what they talking about here on YouTube. Let me see. Girl Chiree, aka Angel, don't stop. She said, I think women have huge problem with being submissive. So saying men don't know how to lead is a scapegoat. Now that's a woman saying that way. Y'all let me know now. Hit that comment section. Y'all feel like that's game or that ain't really it right there. We need to know. Let me see. Raining. I want to say it's woman. Hopefully,
Yeah.
hey, listen, forgive me, but I think it says rain one. Personally, I think if a female thinks she can't trust his leadership, she shouldn't be with him. Period. Stop the excuses. I'm buying some of that, and I ain't gonna lie. Now I put some stock in that. Buy that like Bitcoin. Also, she says most of these females just want to do what they want to do, but don't pay me no mind. I've been called a pick me.
She
So
took the words out of my mouth. I was about to say they gonna call her a pick me. Any woman that says something that makes sense, that actually contributes to having a healthy relationship with a man, the single women that want to get picked by men will try to shame them by calling them a pick me. Like, that's the stupidest thing ever. Like, sis, you single, don't you want to be picked too? Like, you want to be proposed to so you can post it, and you want a man to choose to marry you, but they'll try to shame other women by calling them a pick me. Like, that makes no sense.
also, we got a comment said, are there any negatives to following a man's lead? I would say absolutely, but you have to, like Terry said, you have to vet the guy. You're not just going to be having the blind leading the blind. Like, if you got vision and can see, then you need to be able to recognize that, nah, this don't make sense. And oftentimes, like, if I had a daughter, I would make sure to game her on asking questions. Like, yeah, you got to make sure, like, because as men, we ask questions. We like, well, bro, that don't really sound too much like, well, hold on. You know what I mean? And so we try to gain clarity where I think a lot of women will go with the flow if it sounds good or if it kind of aligns with what you may see. But even though
You
your
can talk a
intuition,
good game.
right, your intuition might be telling you otherwise, but yet now you decide, you know what, forget it. I'm gonna just move forward. And then later when you get duped, then now you looking like, I should have known. Like yes.
Yeah,
So
like a woman could make the mistake of, like, this boils back to the dating decisions that I was talking about earlier. Like, women can see that a guy's not responsible or not trustworthy or not consistent, but will still put themselves in a position to get pregnant by him or agree to be in a relationship with him, right?
right.
That's where the mistake was made. But you don't really see the impact of those mistakes until he's in a position to make decisions for your family and you and your child's well-being.
Right.
So a lot of times, by the time they realize they with a dude that ain't equipped to make decisions or ain't equipped to lead, it's because of all the red flags they ignored when everything was all good, when they was getting their back blown out. You know what I mean? Like, so
Right.
that's how women find themselves in that type of predicament where they didn't date effectively and they didn't thoroughly vet the guy before committing to him.
Most definitely. And I think we got a comment from Miss Mary 410 on Instagram says, I don't think females were raised that way. And I want to know exactly what she kind of meaning in terms of what women weren't raised like. But also we got a let me see another comment on YouTube. Listen, I appreciate y'all on YouTube, man. We locked in tonight. Leah 7305 says, but it isn't the whole point that I do what he wants, even if I disagree. So
No.
that's right. We never say as men that you have no voice, right? And ultimately, a man, in my opinion, has a chance to prove himself if you allow him the space to lead. Because here's the thing: the bottom line point behind all of this is a man is going to find somewhere to lead. Okay, even if women nationwide, worldwide believes he's incapable of leading, in his mind, he's finding a place where he's gonna have that role and that title, right? So that's just one thing. But I myself feel like it's not like a woman is just going to be blindly following him and have all these disagreements about where she's heading and just say I gotta submit totally to him and not have no say so. But in my opinion, this is where y'all had to have those conversations and ultimately say, hey, I'm allow you to the platform to do what you do. Now, if what's proven, it shows that you're not leading us in the right direction. Then I gotta be able to. I have to have the right to
Object
question.
exactly. And I wanted to ask you, because I don't think most people that I talk to ain't married. You know what I mean? Like in this generation, but uh, I'm pretty sure a lot of people just want to know what does that look like in an actual marriage. Well, for me and my wife, I'm a real hands off type of husband. I transfer money to the account. You know what I'm saying? Like I make sure we straight in that way, and I only voice myself on major decisions. You know what I'm saying? Or
Mm-hmm.
big purchases or major things. Everything else, I don't really care. You can show me what the decorations is gonna be. You can tell me what you're cooking for Thanksgiving. I don't really care about a whole bunch of that stuff. So
Right.
it's a you delegate an authority in the household. But if
Mm-hmm.
there's where it comes to where we live, what we about to pay, what we about to do with this bag that's coming in, you know what I'm saying? Like what moves are we about to make? That's where the leadership comes in. You know what I mean? Like uh, my wife will tell me, man, I want a new car. And okay, it's up to me to handle that information. It might not be that month. It might not be this year. But we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
talk about it. Well, all right, well bet. Around March we can start. You know what I'm saying? Like I can
Right.
come up with a game plan on how we plan on getting you another vehicle.
Right.
Or in some cases you have to be able to the biggest lesson I learned my rookie year of husbandship is you have to be able to tell your wife no. And that's really where you can tell the how solid your relationship is,
That's a
because
fact.
how a woman responds when you tell her no or that y'all can't make a move that she wants to make, that's where the sparks really start to fly in a lot of these fake relationships.
That's man, that's so good. And it's funny because it's the same thing over here. Now, these are the type of things that women will not give men credit for. Because like I am the same type of guy. Like even when we got married, bro, like listen, all this flower color picking, what color the seat cover is gonna
Cake,
be.
come
Like,
taste the
like
cake.
I don't, you know what I mean? Like it's whatever. It don't matter to me. And the same thing applies as well. Like I'm the type of guy. Like, hey, listen, okay, how much we need for these bills? How much we need? Da da da. Okay, cool. Boom. The money's over there. And my wife being, listen, I ain't gonna lie. I have a green thumb sometime, right? So she's more conservative and whatever. So we know our strengths. I know how to say, okay, well, I defer to her in that aspect in order for us to make sure things is managed and taken care of. Cool. I don't have to feel like I'm less than a man just because I know, like with my wife, listen, she always you can give her $100 and come back to her next year and that same $100 will be there. Why? Because I don't know why. Don't ask me. You know what I mean? Like there's no, you know what I'm saying? I would have been spent that bread. You know what I'm saying? On something. It's gonna find a home somewhere. But these are the type of things where a man recognizes that it's not total dominion over the household to where he's saying you have no say. So I don't care what you think.
I
This
don't.
is what we're doing.
The only type of men that want that are abusive men. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like the regular average dude is not trying to make all your decisions. Most
Mm-hmm.
men don't even care about all the stuff that y'all care about. You know what I mean? Like, are the bills paid? We got enough. How we got groceries? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I know how much is in. I got money to play with in my account. You like, are you good? Like,
Yeah.
it's stuff like that where the man is only really gonna have voice himself if there's a problem. If you keep your account keep becoming negative and I keep having to wire you money because you overspending, because you mismanaging your money, though, that's when a man's leadership is gonna come into play.
Right.
And
And
how
I feel
women,
like he should have a right to say something without you feeling like that he's quote unquote attacking you.
but that'll get met with I make my own money. I do this. Like that's where when a lot of women will reject the leadership if it's criticizing them or calling them out or trying to hold them accountable. And that's the same thing we see on my page all the time.
Most definitely. So I'm gonna go through these comments before we move on to this next section of the conversation. Let me see. Reigning woman, she's locked in right now. She said allowing a man to
Yeah,
lead
she killing it.
means being willing to trust him even when he makes mistakes because we all make mistakes. Well, listen, let me give that rant, you the real MVP clap. We all make mistakes, ladies, but don't do them like that. Let me see. She also says that's why you should feel comfortable with his leadership before. That's the word before you tie yourself to him. Like and again, these are the things that I think as men, we especially, even as being in a relationship coaches, being in a relationship space, don't get enough credit for, because I know you religiously preach women's mistakes in relationships and how you can overcommit to something that's not real. You can have all of these expectations over things that aren't really there, validating what you feel you should expect, and so on and so forth. But yet women will tie themselves to a man and then blame the man for all he is not, all that he lacks and everything. So let me see. Okay, so here's the next thing. We're gonna turn the page to this. And everybody, like I said, if you're on Instagram, y'all want to log in, if y'all want to come over on the YouTube side, go ahead and do that. Here's a question, Terry. How do women, or excuse me, how do men date a woman with a bossy personality? Right. Another two-part question. The first part, how do men date women with a bossy personality? The second part is, do men tend to last in those relationships with a domineering woman like that? What do you think?
Well, I don't think most guys will be able to last long term with that type of woman. A lot of guys try because they have kids by her, etc., and end up kind of caught up or tied to the woman. But that's definitely one of the worst situations that a guy could be in,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't want to have an argumentative woman that is going to be creating conflict over everyday issues. Like you that level of frustration that a man's gonna have is gonna cause the love to dwindle away, and most likely it's gonna lead to cheating or a breakup.
Right.
So the men that do find themselves with very argumentative women, or very women that got to get their point across, you got to be able to present your arguments in a way that don't allow her to deflect, that don't allow her to avoid answering the question. Kind of how I handle my comments to a large degree.
Mm-hmm.
For example, like when you having these kind of hostile conversations with a woman, typically she's gonna bring up something that you did. So you got to be able to spit the facts of the situation she brought up. You got to be able to, and the problem is you got to be able to do it in the heat of the moment, which is where most guys struggle. It's difficult to do, but you got to be able to point out the differences in the logic, in the decision making. You have to
Mm-hmm.
hit her with yes or no and true or false questions to kind of get her to understand how she's been inconsistent, or what she said didn't make sense logically. And sometimes they don't want to hear it. They'll storm off and go into the other room or something to that nature when you having
Right.
that type of discussion. So, like I said, again, it's really a reflection of the woman's mentality and how she handles herself.
Most definitely. I think Gemini Magic on Instagram said he won't have the masculine role if, of course, if she's a domineering, bossy personality. And why do I make these phrases? Why do I say bossy? Why do I say domineering? Reason why is because they're all synonyms to women being bitchs sometimes. Like, listen, some of these women really come off in a certain type of way where it's like you said, like I'm smelling myself to the extent where you really can't tell me too much of nothing. And especially, here's the thing: most of the domineering women, they have some level of leverage, meaning they might have some money under themselves where they got a check. So now it's like you said. I remember this post. I don't know if it was you who posted it. Basically, it was saying that when a man gets money, he wants to give his woman the world. When a woman gets money, she don't need a man no more. And it's basically to say, hey, listen, first of all, this independence, this, you know what, I should have my own, I got my own, the equality, all of that lends itself to a woman becoming more of a dominant personality, okay, over her life. But when it comes to a man entering into her life, now it's like that same personality come into conflict because, as I said earlier, a man gonna lead somewhere. So it doesn't matter that you feel like, hey, you have all of these things going on. All that's cool, but don't think that it's because he's intimidated by you. Because if
That's
most
the
of the time, if,
line.
if you came across, if you were a man that came across the way that you come across, you and that man probably would have thumped, right? You know what I mean? Y'all would have probably had to shoot the five. Y'all would have had to get 5 minutes in real quick. But he can't do that because why? You're a woman. That man not supposed to put his hands on a woman. And again, we know that's just not in the picture. But yet that doesn't mean that he's intimidated. Because think about it: if you were a man spitting that same chatter, listen, you're gonna go off in your mouth. Like, listen, you know what I'm saying? So, um, that's why I say, you know what, like a man is not going to be able to deal with that because, of course, listen, I even told my wife one time, I was like, man, listen, you know I'm crazy. Like, you, like, listen, like, come on now. Like, if you were a man, like, this wouldn't even be this. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, it is. There's always gonna be
Might
those
sound funny, but
situations
yeah,
where women, like I was saying earlier, when a woman know you not gonna hit her, they will say certain stuff and do certain things because they know they safe. You know what I mean? Where
right.
if it was a guy, you would have got handled a lot differently,
Yeah.
friend, family or not. You know what I'm saying? Brother, cousin. So
And we can
it's
still be
it's
cool. It's just that I got to get, you know what I mean? I got to get me.
But I don't know why that is though, because the guys that I know, like I've never intentionally tried to disrespect my wife or nothing,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of women, any situation that could possibly be disrespect, it's like they automatically assume that's exactly what you was trying to do. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
what I find myself, the way that we used to argue a lot early on, but when there is a disagreement and I can explain my mentality, my train of thought, the information I had at the time, why I made my decision or my choice or whatever, that usually can get her to chill out. And even if she don't chill out right then, she'll usually come back later and be like, "Man, you right. I was tripping. I was just mad because of this." You know what I'm saying? Or
Mm-hmm.
I was in my feelings because of this. So, but it still puts the burden on the guy to be able to control his emotions and not respond to the frustration and anger, and to be able to spit the logical facts of the situation, to be able to
Mm-hmm.
present it in a way where you can come to that understanding even if it don't happen when you need it to.
Most definitely. Most definitely. I agree with that. Let me see. Gemini Magic say women know, the women I know like that, meaning domineering, had that bossy, masculine energy. Their husbands are submissive to her. So I guess they keep the peace, you know. So I've seen that as well. And listen, sometimes I have to raise an eyebrow, like, bro, come on now,
It's
like,
every dude ain't got heart
right,
like that. Like some weak dudes out here,
and
give their wife the whole check and what she
right.
say goes. And like
If
like that when you just said that, it reminded me of Harpo from The Color Purple. Like and Oprah's character, like most guys would never be with a woman that feel like she got to be in control like that.
mhm.
That's a very tough home life to have. Not to say like most guys want to be dominating, or they want to be able to do their role, do their portion of the household, and keep. They're trying to keep things flowing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
So let
so.
me see who's this. Let me Elliot, my bro Elliot from YouTube. Shout out to you, Elliot. Says female independence is natural repellent for men, right? And it's not to say that a woman just having. To me, I feel like that it's a little bit overextended, but I understand where you're coming from because it does create this nature where you, like I said, you don't create a space for a man to lead if he was capable of leading the ship. You dig what I mean? And this is where when I went back earlier to the label of men being labeled unfit to lead or just unable to lead. I just think that kind of just is more of an excuse to why you wouldn't follow his lead. In my opinion, even if if he had those qualities. So, but I just to keep the conversation going, I want to ask you this, bro. If a man tries to come into a woman's life and provide structure, right? If he says, "Hey, listen, I see some things that's going on, some areas where we can improve upon," he want to bring some structure. Does he all right? This is two answers, y'all let me know which one he gets. Does he get a conversation about coming to an agreement about how they move forward together, or B, possibly gets labeled controlling and thought about having the nerve of coming in and trying to make adjustments in her life? Right. The question again before you answer, Terry, if a man comes into a woman's life to provide and tries to provide some level of structure, does he get a conversation about coming to an agreement about how they move forward together, or B, does he get possibly labeled controlling and thought about having the nerve to come into her life trying to make those adjustments? What you got on that, bro?
I unfortunately I'd say most guys are going to experience B. Um, just because I've seen just simple things, right? I remember a post where a guy asked his woman to change outfits before they went to a function with his friends and family.
Right.
And instantly, he's a controller. Women, I would leave him. I could never be with a man like that. And I'm like, well, damn. If your best friend was like, girl, what's up with your outfit? Instantly go to change clothes. Instantly. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could have been about to had your keys in your purse in your hand already. But your man suggests one thing, and women will find a reason to make it a problem. So I just don't think women are very receptive. Well, let me say American women, because the point that I wanted to make, man, if you see how marriages and relationships are in other countries where men are slapping their wives and she can't even question them, like the real dictatorships, those marriages seem to last a lot longer than American marriages do. So it's one of the things where it's like American women don't realize how good they have it if they can actually coexist with a dude that's got his life together, or is at least a logical, rational thinker.
Right. So let me see. We got some comments coming through. Right. And the question was, if a man tries to come into a woman's life and provide structure, does he A, get a conversation about coming to an agreement about how they move forward together, or B, possibly get labeled controlling and fought about having the nerve to come into her life trying to make adjustments? Again, the topic is why women refuse to follow a man's lead. So Reigning Woman, she says, LOL, he gets labeled controlling most of the time. Right. So and Elliot says, true to the points that you were making, Terry. And then we see Leah 7305. She says, how about talk about common goals and how you can reach them? Okay, so we can get to that.
You know what? What about that? That reminds me of another thing that happens whenever a man comes to a woman trying to show some leadership. Anytime a man points out something that a woman's doing that creates a problem, it's either she's going to respond with something you did that created a problem, even if it's unrelated to the topic at hand, or it becomes let's make it a we problem. You know, like I see that all the time. Like any discussion, it's like, no. Men and women are the problem. And it's like, that's more of the deflection that men deal with. And for a lot of guys, it gets to the point where they just stop. They stop putting forth their energy and trying to correct the behaviors.
Most definitely. Leah 7305 says, I guess it's really A. I don't know. We went A. You're gonna have to how we got to explain that. How is it A?
Well, no, C. Letter C was very similar to A. Having a discussion about it and all that.
Let me see. My guy Elliot here on YouTube, shout out to you, says depends on the woman's maturity. I agree with that. Also says no accountability. I also agree with that. A large percentage of the time there isn't accountability. That's why Terry mentioned just a second ago how it's most of the time a we discussion as opposed to a me discussion. When he's saying, hey, no, listen, I came to you to address something I see in you, it never becomes okay, let's discuss something about me. It's a lot of times it's a comparison. It's what about you do? Well, the other day you did this, and it's like, well, that doesn't. That's not what we're talking about right now. We're not bringing about something that has nothing to do with this subject matter. I'm talking about this, and oftentimes we can't do that. We can't say, hey, but what about that time? No. Listen, let's stay on you. I've gotten that.
They want men accountable. They want you to be accountable.
Gemini Magic on Instagram, though, she says that today's society will label him B, meaning controlling. And how could he have the nerve to come into her life thinking that he can make adjustments? Also, she said that's abuse of power, though. Then women got no other option. When she talking about, you were mentioning about a man, putting his hand, laying the smack down, making sure his authority is known in these other countries.
So, but a lot of women don't even recognize that a man not abusing you, not taking advantage of his physical dominance over you, that gets overlooked by a lot of women that are not in that predicament. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what we were talking about earlier, where you get the disrespectful conversations and do something and try me, like. Right. The only reason they have that the only reason they have that energy is because they know the laws is on their side and etc. In other countries, the laws don't. It's legal to do that. It's okay. Like it used to be okay in America to do that, but it's just one of those things that you have to look at. Like the fact that a man is discussing problems with you and not choking you or not forcing you to do it, that should be something that women are at least acknowledge. You know what I mean? Because I remember early on in my marriage, I had to tell my wife one time she was tripping, and I was like, "Man, you need to go down to the battered women's shelter and then tell them all the stuff you complaining about, so they can tell you how you really sound." You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
because she didn't have no perspective. Her first adult relationship, she get a man that got it all together and treat her like she's supposed to be treated. So that created a sense of entitlement. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so I think women need to look at all the benefits that they get from being with a quality man, and how being cooperative or letting a man lead could benefit them.
Right. My guy Elliot say his girlfriend projects like crazy. And then also we got let me see, simplistically digital, that says, is it possible Stockholm syndrome though? I don't know too much about Stockholm syndrome like that, honestly, for me to be able to.
That's where a person falls for their abuser after time.
Oh, okay,
Um,
okay, okay. Let's okay. So
I
here's
don't
the
I don't
thing,
know if
right? I wanna real quick go into this because I know we touching an hour right now. We done went over, and that's good. We having a great conversation. I'm glad everybody that's locked in both on Instagram and YouTube, man. Y'all engaging in this conversation. Why women refuse to follow a man's lead. And here's the thing: we're gonna round this subject and discussion with this question, right? Can a man be a better person than his lady and she not have a problem with it? Can he be a better person? Now, I ask that because oftentimes I recognize that a good man oftentimes has to be the better man. And a lot of times women will say, hey, a real man would do this. If he's a good man, then he would do this. He would, A, B, and C, one, two, three, X, Y, and Z, right? So it made me say to myself, well, if men still have conflict with a woman following his lead or believing in his leadership or just submitting to him or deferring to him in some aspect, then if he is supposed to be if she okay with him being a better person than she is, given the fact that if he is supposed to be a good man, then in a lot of ways he should be the better person.
there are women that'll be receptive to it, if they can see tangible proof. He
Mm-hmm.
got way more money than her. He's in better shape than her, and he's trying to help her lose weight. Something to that effect. Where
Right.
where it's undeniable. She can't dispute the fact that he's way better at her than something. Then I think women or would be willing to accept it in that aspect. But if it's something that's up for debate, like who's easier to communicate with, or who, you know what I'm saying, something like that, where it could be a Skip and Shannon type of argument,
Right.
it'll always be pushback on that.
Right. So let me see. Rain and Woman, look, she's showing out tonight. She said leadership comes with so much responsibility. Why not let men do it so we can rest in our femininity? And listen, Rain and Woman, I agree with that so much. It's just that so many women believe that I'm not going to risk it. I'm not going to put all that I've created or built on my own in the hands of someone else, only to let them fumble it or mishandle it, misuse it. And so, with all that being said, I can understand if I was a man and if I'm making 6 figures, 7 figures, and then I meet a woman who seems to be a great fit for me, but yet she hasn't yet understood how to manage money. I'm not just going to say, hey, here goes everything I make, let you go ahead and make all of this. Like, that would be stupid, in
I
my
don't think
opinion.
that's what men are asking. I don't think that's what guys are asking for either.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of times, like if you did meet a woman, sometimes when I do counseling sessions, some of them are really well off. They got $1 million businesses, etc. They struggle with guys that may have it going on. They just don't have as much as them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so then it becomes, I make more than you anyway. You know what I mean? Like, it's like they always have to kind of constantly remind him that they're on a different level or they have more, and that ultimately takes away from building, because it demonstrates that they don't have a we mentality.
Yeah, most definitely. And that really comes into conflict with longevity with anybody that you're dealing with, which is why, I think, and especially like when I mentioned that 90% of my clients are women, the majority of them are in that same realm where, just like women mentioned and boast about all that they've built and created, and how they've developed themselves into this type of mogul, or CEO this, COO that. Okay, well, great, but now those same women that have so much success in this area seem to not be able to figure it out with all the cleverness, all of the skill, the adaptation to different things in certain business areas. They can't figure that out when it comes to relationships. And I think that comes from what you said, that me mentality. And why should I have to, bow down in any way? Why should I have to defer in any way? All of these things, where it becomes, because I am making all this money. Now it's like, well, I'm not about to listen to him or allow him to tell me anything and dictate anything in my life. But yet you want a man to just take the lead. Like, I just want to sit back, put my feet up, and I just want a man to just make plans, like make the decision. Like, I'm tired of just always asking me what I think. Like, which, and it's mixed signals, it's mixed messages.
Very true.
So let me see. Simplistically Digital says, my dad managed the money and my mom stayed at home most of my life. And my thing is, there is an agreement there. There's an understanding there. And I think back in the day when we had our grandmothers and great grandmothers and granddads, like, they just understood. Like I said, I made a joke. I say, when Big Daddy cuts somebody out, Big Mama just say, hey, how Cletus is, you know how he get after he done had a couple drinks, and y'all know how he is. And it was almost like, okay, well, I'm not saying that I endorse every flaw of his, but I recognize who I'm with, and ultimately I understand that this is who I'm dealing with. And I think that is where I believe most relationships don't even get to, because we're so focused on us and not, not the we, but the me. And especially when I say us, I mean women, especially. I think when it comes to this, following a man's lead, it's just you really not trying to do it, but you make it seem and project like, hey, I'm so willing and I'm so open to it. And that's why I said I called Cap in the beginning of the show.
Yeah, man. Like I said, a lot of the things that you see on social media or you see women talking about contradicts what they say that their relationship goals actually are. They'll talk about Michelle and Barack and all this type of stuff. I mean, it's like, but a man can't tell you nothing, sis. So what makes you think you'd ever be with a man 20 plus years?
Right. And here's the thing, man. So even with Michelle and Barack, like, I'm sure, when Barack was down and out, and Michelle was like, you know what, I'm still doing my thing too. It may have been harder for him to have her lend him her ear when it came to certain things. Why? Because he's down and out, dusty, and might have still been going to school or figuring it out. And like we mentioned earlier, in those time frames, it's hard for a man to gain a level of respect, basic respect from women, because it's about what he brings to the table that's most important. And then everything behind that comes. And it's like, okay, well, once you've proven that you're able to bring stuff to the table, improve my life, or create a lifestyle that I wasn't able to have otherwise, okay, I can respect you a little bit. Now we can move forward and see what type of qualities as an honorable man you have. But that comes behind my initial, check of my screening of what are you bringing to the table.
Yeah, most and a lot of guys, it ain't gonna get that far, because if you're not treating them in a way that is enjoyable from the jump, your dating situation is very likely to be temporary. So the only way that you're gonna actually get to the 10, 15, 20-year marriage is by being enjoyable to date from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. That's a fact. That's a fact. So if y'all are enjoying the conversation, man, I need y'all to please on your way out, swing by my website, man, and y'all seen some of the banners come through, just suggesting some of the things that we offering at relationshiphealing.co. That's my website. I'm gonna put that into the comments real quick before we move on. I gotta make sure I do my shameless plugs, make sure y'all know, some things out there for you as well to buy into. Not only coaching sessions, but I got my book, Come and Talk to Me, The Women's Guide to Why Men Don't Communicate. Have an online course, Attract Quality Man in 30 Days. Also a free quality man versus low quality man checklist to kind of really help women identify sooner than later and be more expeditious, as my brother Ti would say, when it comes to identifying if a man is compatible, because that's one of the main things that I know myself and Terry preaches on, is trying to figure out if the person you're compatible with. And that, I think, is one of the most prominent weaknesses when it comes to women in dating, is trying to figure out not only how to operate within a space with a man, especially if you have your own and are independent, but also just I just lost my train of thought. But anyway, Terry, man, before you get out of here, man, before we end this conversation, I want for everybody to be able to tap in with you and follow you and see what it is that you have going on, for my audience on YouTube that may not be familiar with you, or if you are, awesome, but kind of give us a rundown of how they can connect with you, Pimp.
All right. You can reach me on Instagram at Terry Duran. My website is terryduran.com. I have a couple of books. I have a relationship book called It's Not That Complicated. And I just released my latest book. It's called Forensics of Cheating. I co-wrote it with Dr. Andre Blaylock. And so we do a deep dive into the mindset of a cheater. So it's available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle. But between Amazon and my website, you can find all of my content.
Most definitely. And that's where again?
It's terryduran.com and at Terry Duran.
Where again?
terryduran.com.
Yeah.
And it's on Instagram at Terry Duran.
Most definitely. And I had them do that again, just because for y'all that don't type very quickly, or y'all might be putting that into your phone, you might need to hear that for the third time, because sometimes I'm trying to put something, I'm like, dang, what he said? Now I got to catch the replay because I didn't hear it. But man, I appreciate you, man, taking the time, man. As always, man, it's a great discussion. I'm glad to be able to link up with you here on my YouTube platform. So I appreciate you, man, to be able to come on this platform and share the space with me, man. And always, like I say, man, you give a great insight from a male's perspective. And it's always good to have two men to kind of, really dive into these topics. And I'm glad that we don't always agree, because that brings, like I say, a broader perspective to these discussions, because we all go through the same things, but we handle them different. And that's why I feel like,
True.
just being able to have that difference of opinion and still be a man at the same time and hold your own, like, that's what's most needed in this space. So I appreciate you, Pimp. So for everybody that's out there that's watching, man, this is the Thursday Night Live. You guys already know Tuesday nights, that's when we have our official Male Translations podcast. And if you are new to the channel and you haven't subscribed, man, please go ahead and subscribe. Get your dose of comedy, insight, and honesty when it comes to relationship issues from a male perspective. So we out of here. It's the Thursday Night Live, why women refuse to follow a man's lead. Share this post with somebody that you feel like could really get something out of this discussion, or just a laugh, or just some level of insight. And we're going to see y'all one more again. I'm going to be right back at y'all with some more content on these relationship issues from a male perspective. And we out. It's relationship coach Clarence Brown.
Peace.
Relationship coach Terry Duran, author, influencer as well. And we're going to be right on up out of here. All right. See y'all. Be blessed. Stay healthy. And we'll see y'all again. All right. Peace.